All of our kids are grown now, and we've had to think about this. What positive changes make me feel good as a parent now that the kids are grown? Vicki, I think it's all about mind shift.
Definitely.
It has everything to do with what we think. So let's talk about 3 specific mind shifts that can get us into that positive space.
Probably the first mind shift is to go from being a manager to an observer. You know, as a mom of a small child, you are managing everything. You're managing their time they get up, you're managing their food, you're managing when and if they get dressed. I mean, it's everything, right? And as the child grows older, you get some changes in you're doing some observing, but as an adult, wow, that is where the big change comes.
Our main model that we share in our parent coaching has to do with balancing control and maturity. Right. And like you were saying, Vicki, we get trained, taught, and educated as parents to control everything. And you have to, really, when they're little.
Right.
So we've got these little grandbabies now. They can't do anything for themselves.
I know. I was really watching our grandson the other day and I thought he seriously is completely dependent upon his mom and dad for everything.
Without them, he's toast.
Mm-hmm.
So we come by it naturally. Right. And as parents, we want to jump in and make sure that everything's taken care of.
Well, I think a funny thing is, as we've talked on this channel a lot about the control and the maturity, we really want our kids to get to the point where they are taking control of their own life because they're mature enough to handle it. And then we find ourselves kind of not really wanting to let go of that control once it's happened. And so that's where we get to be the observers. You know, I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I loved my sister's advice to me once when I first began to be the mother-in-law of daughters-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, if it isn't illegal and it isn't immoral, I don't have an opinion about it. And I thought, okay, so she's really ready to just observe and support her in her, you know, not manage anything, but observe.
Think about that role, observer.
Mm-hmm.
You get to watch a show. And when you think about it that way, it shifts the mind a little bit. It gets us out of that control mode, and it is a little hard to let go of, but it changes the energy. Part of this mind shift has to do with how we see our kids, because they really are not mini me. Our kids are not replicas of us. They're not there to fulfill all of our unfulfilled dreams or to live the life we wish we would have lived.
Right.
And I say those things explicitly because we have to take a look.
Right.
Am I approaching this in a way that has me seeing my kids that way? I get to observe another human being and their life, which is not mine. Along these lines, I think the next shift that we can consider is shifting from dictator to consultant.
And that's kind of a rough word, that dictator. But, you know, and a lot of many people would say that when we have little kids, we are a little bit more of a dictatorship because you do kind of have to take control. And so we're going to become more of just a consultant. And that does have everything to do with stage as well as their grown-up age.
Well, actually, in saying that,
right,
our goal doesn't matter. Is that fair?
Yeah.
It's their goal. See, if you're a consultant, and some of you might be professionally, if you're a consultant, it's not about what you want.
Yeah, you've got to find out what your client wants. And right now your client is your child, right?
So that mind shift, you're not coming in as the CEO, as the boss. You're the consultant. And maybe you're a very highly paid consultant too. Put yourself in the position where your focus is completely on whatever their goals are. And you are there to support them in those goals. You've got a lot of experience. Your kids are going to give you some feedback about this too. If you get any kind of message of, you're trying to control my life in whatever way that they communicate that to you, then probably you're slipping into that dictator role, even though you didn't really intend to.
I think one of the hardest parts with the grown-up kids is we've talked about sometimes a good way to approach it is say, hey, I've been through some things and I would love to share that experience with you. If you want to hear it, let me know. And then we just like, when are they going to ask us? When are they going to ask us? Why aren't they asking us, right? Be okay with not sharing.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's really hard.
It changes the energy of the interaction when you take that position, and it's actually more likely that they are going to approach you for advice and for consultation.
Well, and the other thing too is when you want to lay out how it should be for them and all your experience, you're kind of sending the message, I don't really trust you to figure this out. And sometimes it comes from the best of intentions, meaning I've had some really hard experiences and hard lessons in life, and I want to save you from some of those lessons. But I actually made that comment to an older friend one time. I was like, I just don't want to see my particular son, I don't want to see him go through all these trying things. And she's like, why not? And it really struck me that I was trying to save him from some of the experiences that actually gave me my greatest lessons in life. I think that's where we really do need to be careful sometimes to offer them our trust that their journey is just right for them, and you're here as a consultant, but you don't really have a judgment about it.
Here's a little brain hack that you can use to put yourself into that consultant role. The next time you feel like you need to save them from, I love that example, Vicki. Replace that with the words rob them of.
Yeah.
And it shifts it up. They need to have these experiences, and you get to be there as the trusted consultant. We've got one more shift to share with you. Before we do that, if you're enjoying this content and if it's making sense to you, then probably you're in a phase of life where this is going to be helpful. Click that subscribe button and we will provide for you additional content that's going to help you in this journey.
The last shift we're going to talk about is shifting from being a critic to a cheerleader.
This goes right along with what we've already discussed, obviously, and some of the same principles will apply. But I think that there's some other energy to this that is worth discussing for just a moment.
A cheerleader, is such an interesting concept, being a cheerleader. And I think you have to probably work with your child to see what that looks like. Again, we're a consultant, right? So your idea of cheerleader may not be the same, because I know that some people feel like the mom trying to be a cheerleader is more of a stalker. So we got to be careful of that, right?
You want to lead the fan club without becoming a stalker. And there's some subtleties there that I think are worth being sensitive to. Do you remember going to the high school sporting event and the cheerleaders are out there with their pom-poms?
Right.
Ryan, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can. And it's just this energy of, oh, we love you so much. And we don't want to go over the top too much, because then we become the stalker. Right. We get into that place where they're like, oh, just stay away a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and also I think you also set up an expectation that no failure can happen. You're cheerleading in their process of learning even, right? And so that is, you can even comment things like, boy, I am impressed with how you handled that rough situation. That's a cheerleader, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the message that we're sending, you mentioned this earlier, Vicki, if we intervene too much, we're inadvertently sending the message, I don't trust you. You're obviously too stupid to learn from your own mistakes. Whatever it is, we don't intend to send that message.
Yeah.
But the message we're trying to get to is, hey, you've got this. You've got this. I trust you. I know that you are brilliant. I know that you are competent. I know that you are going to learn whatever you need to learn from your life experiences, and I'm just here to cheer you on. This can actually be fun, and we are so happy to be on your team. We've queued up the next video for you. It's about everything you need to know as the parent of a young adult. Let's continue this conversation. Cue that one up next, and we'll see you there.